Yo, back again. Back again, people. Can you hear me? How are we doing? Sound okay? Sound all good? Okay, gonna give it one more minute, peeps. One more minute, and then I'll be back and we'll sort this out. Desan, welcome back. Trent Allen, welcome back. Ishan, welcome back, people. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just gonna double check something here and I will be back and we'll get the show going. Yo, how are we doing, people? Can people hear me? Can people hear me? Let me know. Yeah, I think it's gonna work this time. I think you guys can hear me now. Let me know. Yo, Magdalena, thank you very much. Okay, people, welcome. Michael Flynn, welcome. Okay, guys, sorry about that. I try to join at like 7:45 every single time, and here we are, always like 10 minutes late, trying to get the sound and stuff to work. Keep me honest in the chat, okay? If there's any problems with the sound or anything, just let me know. I can fix it. In the meantime, let's get going. So a little bit of housekeeping. There's a few of us in here now. So if anyone's joining in late, we can catch up later. But another episode of the live stream. So here is a little bit of housekeeping just for right now. As I mentioned last week, there is very low monetization on this stream. So you might get the occasional ad. Sorry about that, but that is as low as I can make it at the minute. I think, yeah, so that's one thing. So we have a little bit of monetization here on the stream, but in the meantime, unless an ad interrupts us, get your questions in, people. Let's go. What's up? How has your week been? Where are you from? Is this your first time in the stream? I recognize some of the names. Welcome back, people who have been speaking to on the previous streams. But let's go. Let's talk architecture. I see there's 12 of us here now. We got more and more people coming in. So welcome. Introduce yourself. Let's talk. Let's go. Get your questions in, people. How are things going in the world of architecture tonight? Are you working late? Are you in the studio? What is up? FIFA Dabber, welcome back. Hello. Welcome back, Sun Study. Yeah, welcome back, people. Nice to see so many familiar faces, if that makes sense in this day and age. Like, what is going on? What is up? So, like, so many familiar faces. We're like a little family on here now. What's that about? That's so toxic. I once worked in a place where they called everybody a family. That was like the worst thing. It was like the worst experience. Ishan, I love architecture. Welcome to the club. John, welcome. Archie student, currently making a scale model. What's your model of? John, send some photos in of your model. We can all have a look at it. Desan, pretty busy week. Currently working on floor plans. What are your floor plans of, Desan? Well, no, yeah, that was last week. We were talking about that. Nabi, welcome. What's the best arc movie? What is the best architecture movie? That is a 10 out of 10 question. Best architecture movie. So I haven't seen The Brutalist, although I've made some TikToks about it. Oh, Metropolis in the in the chat. Metropolis is an easy one. Okay, Sun Studio, the Brutalist. Yeah, I haven't seen the Brutalist. Love Adrian Brody. But I hear it's like 3 hours long. I've nothing wrong with long movies, but um, you know what I always say is an amazing movie about architecture, Inception. And it's not because like they are architects, like they are architects, but like I think there's something really interesting about Christopher Nolan's films in general, in that they're all about making things. Read into that whatever you will. Oppenheimer is about filmmaking, and Inception is about architecture, sort of. The Dark Knight is about Batman. I don't know, but like I don't know, Christopher Nolan's films, they always feel really architectural to me. I like the way that they actually construct sets for his films rather than use CGI. Like I've worked in CGI and animation, and like I mean, you'd be shocked at how much is actually CG that you would not have realized was CG. Has anyone else out there seen any good architectural films? The Shining is always a good example. I mean, the way spaces are used. It's funny if anybody is here and they also follow my content at the Future Blueprint. Rebecca actually wrote a book about architecture and cinema. It's called Splicing Spaces. So I think she co-authored the book with another professor of ours from Queen's University in Belfast. So shout out to that. Check that book out. But like, I mean, yeah, I've always been super interested in architecture and film. But your question was, what is my favorite archy film? That's the thing, right? There's not that many films that have like an architect as the main character that are actually about architecture, right? Have you seen The Square? No, Nabi, what is The Square about? I've never seen or heard of that. Oh, I'm gonna check that out now. The Square. Oh, chat. Oh, cool. Cool. Architecture films. Why am I blanking? This is like something I could just probably rant and talk about for a long time. If you're just joining, say hello. What's up, people? What is your favorite architecture film? Let's get it going. Who else is here? Ishan's working on design. Someone else was telling me there. FIFA Dabber, you were telling me about your night. Oh, FIFA Dabber says Dunkirk. Is Dunkirk an architectural film, though? I don't know if it is. Has anyone seen Hereditary in the chat? Hereditary is a very, very, very good architectural film, in my opinion. The way that they use scale and space and that film and that set to spook you is very, very, very good. Love that. Speaking of scary films, has anyone seen Weapons? I watched Weapons recently, and it was like 10 out of 10, like unbelievable. Not really architectural, though, I have to say. Unless suburban architecture is sort of scary in a weird way, and I guess it is. Sorry, just trying to find out in the chat here what's been going on. I'm happy to come back though and keep talking about architecture and film. I mean, like I don't need an excuse for that. But sorry, Nabi, I have not seen The Square. You say it's Swedish about art scene, but many ideas apply to architectural world today. That's interesting. Like, what do you? Oh, and you've seen Weapons, of course. Weapons is amazing. Nabi, you've got good taste in films already, so like, welcome, welcome. But no, I haven't seen The Square. I'll have to check that one out. I find that it's really difficult to watch films these days. Does anyone else get that? Like, I don't know, like a 2 hour commitment just seems like a long time to not be looking at my phone. How embarrassing is that? But yeah, FIFA Dabber, How I Met Your Mother, Ted Mosby is my favorite fictional architect. Do you know I was talking about Ted Mosby to someone recently? Ted Mosby, when I was like 17, 18, How I Met Your Mother was like on TV. Like that was before we knew how that show ended. And everyone was like, oh, when I said I was studying architecture, everyone was like, oh, you're going to be like Ted Mosby. And then I was like, no, because like I just didn't really like Ted Mosby that much. And I still sort of don't like Ted Mosby that much. But I don't know. How I Met Your Mother's another one. What's the one with Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore? Is he not an architect in that? What's that called? It's the one where he like he gets paid $1 million for like another man to sleep with his wife. It's called something. Indecent Proposal. I think he's an architect in that. It's funny because the 90s were like filled with like architects in movies, but they always just played like these really weird love interests. Like they never seemed to work. They were never doing their jobs, were they? Who else? What's the Christmas one with Liam Neeson? He's an architect, isn't he? But they're not architectural movies. They're just movies with architects in them. And I'm getting distracted now. So anyway, sorry, we've got 13 people here in the chat. So welcome. Introduce yourself. If you got any questions, get them in. I'm going to make sure I didn't skip anything over here. Architecture and film, though, seems to be the theme for the beginning of this stream tonight. So guys, if you're just joining, a little bit of housekeeping I mentioned earlier. This is a monetized stream, so there might be some ads coming in. So apologies about that. And the second thing I want to say, last week I streamed for 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm going to try and keep this one a little bit tighter tonight. So if you got your questions, don't be shy. Get your questions in. I promise I will not leave tonight without getting all your questions answered. But yeah, get your questions in. Let's chat to one another. And I'm going to try and get through some of these now. So I think I missed a question there. Trent Allen, did you see Thomas Rotry's new book? Yes, absolutely. I was hoping somebody was going to ask me about that. I mean, like, what an amazing achievement. Like, how good is that? Has anyone actually got their hands on the book yet? I should do that. I mean, that's terrible. I actually text him this week. So I don't know Tom personally. Like, we've never met before, but obviously we've had a couple of like DM exchanges on Instagram, because how can you be like a content creator or any sort of anyone who's aspiring to be a content creator without seeing his content? I mean, like, just a huge inspiration for any architectural content creators out there. And I just think it's like a massive achievement to be like that age and to have like a book published at the RIBA. Like, just insane. And like what a roundup of people in it. Like, it's weird, right? Like, architecture and content creation is just such a thing now. So yeah, amazing. Like, let me know, anyone, if you've got your hands on that book. Like, what's the verdict? I mean, it's only been out a day, right? But it's just insane. Happy to keep talking about that. Absolutely. Trent, I'm just gonna have a wee look down here. Trent, have you seen it yourself? Like, what are your thoughts? Preet, Annie gives it to those ones written by, oh sorry, is this a movie? I can't read that one. It's just about the 80s Indian architecture students. Sorry, not to keep two conversations going at the same time, but architecture film. Has anyone seen any films about architecture students? Let me know in the chat, because I had this conversation with someone just a couple hours ago, actually. So that would be interesting. Yeah, FIFA Dabber did read that about How I Met Your Mother. Ted Mosby, bad architect though. Bad architect, right? Has anyone seen his buildings? I mean, look, Crumley, they're better than your buildings. Yeah, but his buildings aren't real either. Not good. Not good. I recommend the film Sao Paulo. I have not heard of that one either. Sorry, Carlos. Welcome to the chat. Nabi Weapons is great. I agree. Nabi Vivarium. What is Vivarium? Desan, there's this movie I watched. It was an Indian film. I think it was about an architect in Mumbai who was asked to work on a project that is Indian in identity. It was a good commentary on globalism. I wonder if anyone has a name on that. Preet, wasn't it at Spa Delhi? Not too sure. Sorry, there's multiple conversations going on here. Sun Studio attention span is cooked. My attention span? Guys, it's not my fault. I'm trying to read out all your questions and your comments. I'm doing my best here. What else we got? Gilda Shannon, good evening. Welcome, Gilda. How are you? How did the group project go? Very curious about that. Desan, it was called Sir A202. I don't know that. Trent, again, really want to get it. Don't think it will be released in South Africa anytime soon. So yeah, but I bet you could order it, right? You can order it, I'm sure. I'm sure you could order it, Trent. Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, someone was talking about globalism earlier. Come on, no excuse. Surely you can order it. I mean, don't pay a crazy import tax or anything on it. I don't know. Maybe like if Tom was here, he'd be like, no, please do. I don't know. But like, yeah. Insane book, insane achievement, and just a bit of an insane time. How many countries were involved in that book? I think I saw something today. 1 second. Don't mean to be antisocial. I'm just trying to find here. It was a really cool Instagram story someone was sharing. And sorry, yeah, I'm calling him Tom. Maybe it's Thomas. Like I said, I've never met him personally. I don't want to be too assumptive there. 1 second. Okay, so like the book featured 22 creators, 15 cities, 7.6 million followers combined. One book. And just to give a shout out, so who featured on it? So guys, like, I mean, obviously Tom doesn't need me to do any marketing for his book, but I'm going to see here anyway. Creators and profiles that were featured in the book. So guys, if you're familiar with any of these content creators, like check this book out. I'm going to do my best to pronounce these correctly. So Satwinder Samra, Abigail Happel, Initiate Architecture, Chris Simmons, Thomas Roundtree, Anna Aragao, Tim Fu, Mariana Cabugera, Archidemia, Show It Better, Architecture Candy, Second Studio Podcast, Blessed Architect, Blessed Arc, Upstairs, Alvin Zoo, Per Collective, Dami Lee, Norris Obijaku, David Drazel, Sordo Madalino, Heatherwick Studio, Architect Network. As I started reading out that list, actually, I realized that that's useless to most people. I should just put them in the chat. But I mean, like, surely everybody knows all of their content, like, and I'm sure you've all seen it. I mean, if you have found me somehow, you've absolutely seen all that. So, like, amazing. This Anne we'll look for. Maybe I'll remember it tomorrow. Sorry, I'm all over here with the chat. Let's see how we're doing. Nabi, there is one on YouTube called Archiculture. It's about Pratt students. Is that a film? That's interesting. Guys, actually, you know what? Here's the best plug I'm ever going to do. Here's the best plug I will ever do on YouTube, right? So see, when I was an architecture student, right? I was in the same unit as a lad. Should I name him? Maybe I shouldn't name him. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not fair to name him. I was in a studio, right, with a lad, and he was a great guy, like just really sound guy. And he wanted to document every single one of our final weeks in our last semester of architecture. So this was like 2017. So he made a documentary for our final semester. And like, I'm in it, obviously, because I just love talking, and I've got a big fat head, so of course I'm in it. But like, he recorded like a 1 week episode and dropped it like every Monday. 12 episodes, 12 weeks, final semester of our masters, and it's on YouTube, and you can watch it, and it's like the best time capsule that you could ever ask for. Which brings me on to something that's really interesting, guys. See, if you're architecture students, document it. Like, document what you're doing. I'm going to see if I can find this channel now, and I'm going to drop it into the chat, because I don't want to call the guy out personally, because I don't think that's fair on a live chat. But I mean, I have nothing but kind words to say about him. He's a good guy. And I'm going to put the YouTube link in the chat here now, so it doesn't really matter. But let me see. That series was unbelievable. Yeah, okay. This is it. So he made, let me see, he had a series, right? He makes lots of YouTube videos. I don't know if he's still doing it now. You know what? Like, sorry, Jamie, apologies. I'm going to give you a shout out, because you literally have a YouTube channel and people should check it out. So I'm going to put the link here in my chat. Smith Jr., he made a series called Learning to Adult. And he did like every single week of the final semester, and it's unbelievable, right? So guys, do yourself a favor. Don't leave this stream, because I'm way more entertaining than Jamie. But do check out this guy's channel and give him a sub and check out those videos. The reason I'm talking about that is that you could watch each of those videos. Like, they were just insanely edited. Like, I don't know how he got his master's degree. Like, I don't know, because he was obviously making a documentary at the exact same time, which is super impressive. But like, oh, it's just amazing. And you can just see, like, 25-year-old Crum before he was an uncle, just chatting crap about architecture. And you can see that I walked the walk, because in almost every one of those videos that I'm in a drawing board, okay? I'm in the studio. I'm always there. Guys, I work really hard. Why are you guys not in the studio? What's up with that? Anyway, sorry. So that's all I wanted to say. Check out Jamie Smith. Hit him up with a sub. I hope he appreciates that, because nothing but kind words for Jamie. So who else do we got here in the chat? We got a few more comments going on. Sun Studio, I meant attention span when you were talking about that you can't pay attention to movies anymore. Yeah, I know, but that's the problem, isn't it? Like, that is sort of the problem. Almost in that films today are also made because in a way that they know that our attention spans are so bad. Like, that's crazy, right? I wonder if there will be architecture made to mitigate for like our deteriorating attention spans. Like, maybe the rooms need to change color like every couple of minutes, and everything needs to be like neon and shiny. Maybe there's like a wall where you can just swipe and just get endless content on it. for your kids. I don't know. Crazy though. Crazy. Who knows? Yeah, so Nabi, I will check that one out. Absolutely. Preet, Minimalist, our professors recommended this film to us. I haven't watched it yet, but do you have an opinion on it? Guys, where are you getting these films from? I've never heard of these. Like, I consider myself an absolute film nerd, and I've never heard of these. Minimalist. Let me check this one out. Minimalist movie. Minimalist movie. Minimalism? About a documentary about the importance of things. Is that it? I don't know. Anyway, no, sorry, I have not seen that one. Then, Preet, I'll have to check it out. FIFA Dabber, I love Dami Lee and her film and Archivids. Yeah, she's just insane. Like, I mean, what a serious, like, what's the word? Obviously, right? Chat, keep me honest here. I'm just gonna say something wild. Is she the first architecture content creator? Surely there's been ones before her. I mean, I know there's people like Stuart Hicks and there's a couple of others, and maybe Thomas Rowe was going before her. But like she has done that amazing thing, right? Where it's like she has sort of cut through architecture into like public consciousness, which is like just insanely impressive. Where like you could show your uncle who has no interest in architecture and who's like 65 a Dami Lee video, and he'd probably be super engaged throughout the entire thing and be like, wow. Whereas you could hand that same uncle like Vitruvius and he'd be like, get out of my house. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just think that that's just such a cool, important thing now, like this content creator architecture scene. So yeah, big shout out to Dami Lee, just another legend who would like to meet someday, but have not met. Who else we got on here? We got another chat. Nabi, you're saying it's a short documentary about studio culture. Desan, sorry, I'm just reading everyone's messages. These aren't all questions. Gilda, so that one group project I was working on fell apart because the guys bailed from architecture and got jobs in other specialities. But then group project came up and it went really great. Good. I know that I definitely talked a lot about what you should do about that group project. I hope it worked out well. But I mean, people leaving architecture for other specialties is pretty common these days. Nabi, Urbanized is another good documentary. Never heard of it. But now we're talking about documentaries, and I'm a bit more familiar with architecture documentaries. My Architect comes to mind. Louis Kahn, great documentary. Say what you want about the architect, but like really good documentary. Trent Allen, me and my mate used to make short podcasts in studio when we were bored. Trent, keep going, man. Make that into a podcast. You will not regret having it. Danny, welcome. Not in the studio because I work from the comfort of my home. Very, very nice. So, Danny, are you a student who doesn't work in the studio, or are you a student who doesn't have a studio? I'm just curious. I mean, I have a lot to say about that, but I'm just curious about your situation. I mean, I work from home, so no judgment here. FIFA Dabber, I think you make a very good point on studio life. I know in my university, the studio for undergrads aren't really that nice, but they entice you to work in them for extended periods. So not too sure, FIFA. Maybe you're responding to Danny's comment there. Another film for design is Helvetica, even if it's not architecture, and obviously the Abstract series. The Abstract series actually is fantastic. I really do love that. Obviously, there's one that features Björk Ingels, and then there's one I was watching recently about a car or an automotive designer. Is that the right term for it? Automotive designer. That was amazing. Like I mean, just that's a really cool series. They need to make more of that. How else are we doing here? Oh, and Helvetica as well. Yeah, Helvetica is a cool one. Gilda, want to throw out their question about green architecture. These days, it kind of feels more like a business trend than real climate care. Everything is more about tech. What do you think about it? I think that's a tough question. I do have thoughts about it. Last week, we were talking about something similar, about passive architecture strategies. Sorry, apologies. Passive architecture strategies. And we were saying about how the most passive strategy is to not build. We weren't saying that. I was saying that. What I'm getting at is everything is a business today. Okay? Everything is a business today. That includes any response to the climate emergency in architecture. There will be some form of monetization involved in that, I bet. But your question is, what do I think about it? It is what it is. I don't care that much. Like, if we need to sell products or we need investment or it needs to be an app to slow things down, the rate of production, and that sounds actually that sounds sort of antithetical to what we're saying. I find it all a little bit depressing, but I don't find it hopeless. I definitely don't find it hopeless because at the end of the day, um, we're going to have to be on the front foot with this problem. Like, okay, so like for example, think of it this way. If one architect, if one architect, oh, okay, I trust me, I do know where I'm going with this one, right? So China have been looking at ways of harnessing solar power. Wait a minute, where am I going with this? Guys, trust me, this is engaging content. You don't want to miss this. If you were an architect and you found the solution to climate change and it was in the form of a single design or a product, like you wouldn't give it away for free. You would turn it into a business. You would sell it. Like so many architects do that kind of thing, right? So I just think it's inevitable that that's what's going to happen. Like as much as architects want to paint the impression that they're like, philanthropists, they're capitalists. I mean, how you can't be an architect anymore without being a capitalist, can you? Surely. I mean, you might be against the concepts and the core philosophies of capitalism, but you got to earn money. So everyone's going to do that. That's all I'm thinking about it. But green, the whole green thing, it's weird, right? Because I don't believe this, but I do know that there's a trend with like green is becoming like a bit of a dirty word. But like greenwashing as a concept is something I'm very much against. And if anybody here has watched any of my Helsinki videos, then they'll know that like, oh, just put a green roof on it and that makes it green. And it's like, nah, no, you can't do that. Sorry though about the rambling there. I was trying to make a point. I'm not sure if I did, but everything is a business trend now, Gilda. Sorry about that. In my opinion, that's what I think. Danny, stop giving Bartlett Institute ideas and attention span room. I mean, it is an interesting concept, right? Like, what if that was like an architecture competition? Can you design a room that improves your attention span? How would you do that? Interesting. Gilda, glad to see more people on streams now. Yeah. I don't know if you're talking about streams in general or you're glad to see more people in my streams since the first one, but I'm happy to have you all here. Welcome. Ishan, Kelvin does architecture also need the Reels format. Yeah, he's also unbelievable. Is he's still doing it though, right? Is it just that he just does it during semester time? Because I feel like I haven't seen a reel from him in a long time. Do you know what Kelvin was doing? What Kelvin does is unbelievable. And I remember thinking initially, oh, I want to do that. And then when I realized that someone like Kelvin does it with that level of stamina and level of like quality, I was just like, man, don't anyone try to do that just like Kelvin do it because it's unbelievable. So yeah, big shout out to Kelvin does architecture. If anyone's unfamiliar, he's Instagram and TikTok. I don't know if he's on YouTube. Sam GM, dude, that thumbnail, thanks. I mean, do you like the model? Good model, right? Worked really hard on it. Had a few interns working for me on that one. Preet, yeah, I like Kelvin does architecture is awesome. Disan, Gilda, I think that the intent is there in honest design, but unfortunately, due to budget control, not in the designer's hands. That's what I think as well. But we do like to blame architects, or architects do like to blame clients and budgets a lot for problems. And I'm like, I don't know. Gilda, and also about group projects, the most important advice was about group leader manager. Without leading person, definitely won't work. Yeah, leader critical. Management is critical. I agree. What are we looking at here? Ishan, talking about students and studios. What do you think is the way to go about it? The traditional way of big rooms as studios. I'm currently designing an architecture college. Rebecca and I talk about this all the time. So I was working in practice in a big studio in 2019, and then COVID hit, and then I never worked in the studio again. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, as much as people want to talk about commuting and working in offices and stuff, if you're in architecture, architecture is a collaborative profession. Like, in my opinion, you don't want to be doing it solo. You don't want to be doing it on your own. And working around people, not with people, but working around people physically with models and drawings and sketches and sharing computers and sharing screens, that's how you improve. So, like, I always think it's really interesting for architecture students, and I appreciate it. Okay, I didn't have to deal with a once in a generation or once in a century pandemic when I was a student, and I know a lot of you guys may have, and that's fine. So there's no judgment here for how your work habits developed during COVID, none at all. But like, when I was a student, I learned and improved by being in the studio and being exposed to work that was better than mine. So that's why I always say, like, I make jokes about the cost of architecture school and the cost of tuition. Guys, your tuition, the money that you're paying for, a lot of people think it's the tutors. It's not. It's access to the studio and the other students. That sounds crazy, but that's genuinely where I always thought the value came from. Like, oh, what's that over there? How did he do that drawing? And then, like, ask that person how they did it, and then you can try to do it. It's a lab. Like, studio spaces are labs in a weird way, and that's where the value is, and that's why, no, who was it? Was it Danny? It's like, Danny, man, you work however you want to work, Danny, like, no problem at all. But it's like, if you have access to a studio though, like, go in sometimes, because you'll be shocked at what you learn, like, and what you see other people doing. But maybe you don't have access to a studio. And some studios in architecture school, they don't students don't get desks, or they don't get their own desk. Whereas I was lucky. So if you watch any of Jamie's videos that I put the link in the chat there, you'll see that I had like 7 desks. Yep. Oh, sorry, Danny. Sorry regarding your question earlier. Yes, I'm a student, but there are many layers that stacked up over time that end up with me working mostly at home. Danny, absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like, that's what I mean. No judgment. I'm just talking generally here. I have really good friends. They hated working in the studio, or they couldn't work in the studio, or they had issues at home, so they just worked from home. Rebecca actually didn't use the studio at all during her masters, and Rebecca finished in the top of our class. So maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. See, Rebecca was just cocky. She knew everything. She's like, I'm not going to learn anything in the studio. So I'm just going to work from home, and I'm just going to be the best. And see you later. And it's like, well, then, good for you. So look, everyone does it different, guys. There's no judgment here. I just know what I sort of my experience. That's it. Work where you work best, I think, is the best piece of advice I can give. How are we doing here, people? Kelvin used to do streams doing portfolio reviews here, but now I think he's busy. Oh yeah, has he graduated then? That must be what it is. He's graduated. Okay. Oh, that's a tough transition. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe that explains why there's much less time now. Chat, how are we doing here? We're going 40 minutes. Have we got any more questions? Because I have no problem wrapping up a little bit earlier tonight, unless you got anything that you really want to know. Yeah, we're doing okay. Just checking this here. Yeah, cool. But the thing about doing the review content is that, like, for me at least anyway, um like, where do you draw the line? Like, for example, like, I have no idea. I think Kelvin does it for free, which is crazy. But like, I know there are people who would charge for it. And like, where do you draw the line on whether or not you've delivered acceptable feedback and criticism for what you would charge? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit weird. Like, if you're in architecture school, imagine when you sit down at your desk review, you have to hand them 20 quid. Like, doesn't that mean then they'd be like, oh, maybe I should be nice then? Like, it's complicated. Like, I don't know. Like, if I said, like, I will review your portfolio for like £50, you would want positive feedback for that, right? Otherwise, it's just some guy on the internet who's just took money from me and been mean to me. Like, you don't have to pay someone to be mean to you on the internet. I don't know. I'm just yapping here, guys. Sorry about that. Ishan, opinions on modernism. I don't have any really opinion. Like, I don't know. Maybe my favorite period of architecture, But is that like a really boring thing to say? Like everybody sort of likes modernism in a weird way. Like socially, it had its like I don't know really. I have to be have to be careful with how I say that. Ishan, I think it kind of ruined traditional and unique architecture, and globalism just made it worse. Well, yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like the idea of the international style, I don't think that was good for architecture. And we talked about this last week and how like vernacular architecture is often lost now. But I think a lot of that comes down to economy of scale and the way in which production works now. And I think that comes down to why does everything now look the same? And you have to remember, like to some people, you say modernism, like, but there's a lot of bad modern architecture as well. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Preet's in here. I think modernism didn't kill traditional style. It was a transition from world crisis through brutalism, isn't it? Not sort of. Um, the thing with modern architecture is that it's still very much alive in a lot of ways, like depending on how you view it. It's a bit of a broad subject. Danny, I've been working on experimenting new stuff with my projects. Until now, I've only had very logical and conscious projects. If you're a student, you should experiment. Experiment now for sure. Lazo, welcome. Lazo, sorry, no Dark Souls tonight, but welcome back. Louisiana channel. It's not just architecture stuff, but I really like their content. I don't think I've watched that in a long time, but I'm familiar with that channel. But opinions on modernism. Sorry, trying to get back to it here. Um, when you say modern, like, are we talking about Le Corbusier? Are we talking about Via Savoie? What are we talking about? Like, or because modernism is quite a long period. Just curious. Le Corb. I think I talked about Le Corb, Big C, last week. Um, I think the buildings are cool, but I've never been to any of them, which is a bit weird, right? And then like modernism is different in every context too. Like I don't know. Apologies. I don't mean to I don't mean to duck the question. Just like if you got like anything specific though, like what I think about it, it's sort of like what do I think about architecture? And it's like, how long do you have? How much time do we have? I'll talk all night. Have you been to the Biennale? Any thoughts on them in general? Thanks, Nabi. I have not. I've been to Venice, but I've never been to a Biennale, or the Biennale. Um, Thoughts on them? See, they're very uncool at the minute, aren't they? Right? There's quite a lot of backlash against these Biennales, if I'm correct. Do you know I once interviewed for a job and it was to work as a design intern for the British pavilion at the Venice Biennale in 2015, 2014. Didn't get the job though. But I mean, not British either. So maybe I shouldn't have applied for the job. I don't know. But I think they're cool. Like I love the idea of like having work exhibited there. I mean, everyone loves that idea, right? Do you think I could get one of my like thumbnails or something displayed there? What do you think, chat? A little like Studio Crumb thumbnail in the Venice Biennale? I think I could see that happening. I could like be there as well if anyone has any questions. Or, like, what is the thumbnails about? It's like, check it out. Live stream every Thursday. What's up? But no, I haven't been. But I do want to go. Well, it still happens. I wonder if they'll ever stop doing it. Interesting. Love the recent Frank Gehry reel. Oh, like with the drawing? Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Like, I actually think I could do one of those every single day for most of the big architects. The problem is that I got distracted this week. I do that a lot though. Like I'll make a piece of content and I'll be like, oh, this is gonna be a new series, and then that's it. Because I just realized I don't have the same energy the next day. I was gonna do Bjork Ingels next because I just think his projects would lend themselves well, and there's so many photos of him. I think Korb would be easy to do. Zaha would be the easiest to do, I think. Who else would I do? Don't know. But like, that's what's good about architecture content, isn't it? I think that's what's super interesting because it's so broad. You could just make tons of different reels and different series. Someone's gonna hit the gold mine for sure with like a gimmick. Does anyone follow? Sorry, I know the first name. I just want to double check out the name correct. Like one of the funniest in architecture creators out there. Stand by. Guys, does anyone here also follow Dory Azar? he like turns numbers and brands and logos into architectural floor plans. Like, guys, that's what we all went to architecture school for, right? I think he's working on one night right now. It's Metallica themed. His videos are unbelievable. If you don't follow him, check him out. Lazo, what's the Frank Gehry drawing? I turned a photograph of Frank Gehry into a sketch of Disney Hall in Los Angeles, if anyone knows that project, because I'm super talented. Like, it was just no one else would have thought to do something so stupid. And I was like, I'll do it. And I did it. And it got like 10 likes. Hashtag influencer. What about it? Raha Karan, hey, just joined. Has it already been a week since the last stream? Time really passes. You tell. Oh yeah, absolutely. It feels like I'm still on the stream from last week. To be honest, this week has gone very, very, very quick. But thanks for joining again, Raha. Appreciate it. Love seeing the same people again. Lazo, yeah, guys, check out Dory. He's awesome. Ishan, why is there such a big dynamic in architecture work field to tailor 2 people with 4 interns to like something like OMA? It's because of the scale of projects, right? I mean, like, for example, if I said you, hey, what is the smallest type of architecture project and what is the biggest, you would say house, and then you would say airport, and like obviously they would require different scales of teams. So I just think like it's more to do with like the economy and the scale of projects that are available to architects. Like, I wonder what the sweet spot is. I wonder if there's anyone who's like in the middle and they hate it. Like they only do. No, I guess people who only do like middle-sized buildings are pretty comfortable because like there's a lot of commercial projects like offices and apartments and stuff are in that mid-range. I think if you did like lots of skyscrapers, that would probably be the best kind of gig. I don't think I would ever want to do an airport. But sorry, your question was more specific, wasn't it? Let me see. Sorry, Ashim. It's either 2 people with 4 interns to like something like OMA. But you know what's interesting? See offices like OMA, maybe not OMA specifically, but let's say like big offices like Foster's, right? They'll open satellite offices like in like cities and countries all over the world, and they're only like 4 people. So in a way, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, guys, chat. If you know, correct me. Foster's, I think they have like an office in like California, in like Malibu or something. And I think it's like 10 people. And that's a kind of interesting way of having like, the brand and being associated with Foster's, but then also having the small scale studio type environment. Like, I don't know what I'm getting at is that like even these big companies have these smaller satellite studios. And when I worked in big practices, this is the thing, right? Like, and Ishan, I'm not sure if you're working anywhere specifically now or you just mentioned OMA. Yeah, there's OMA, right? Let's say that's a couple of hundred people or 1,000 people. I'm not sure. Let's say Foster's, right? Foster's is like 2,000 people in London. Yeah, but it's not like an office of 2,000 people. It's like 20 studios, and each of those studios are ran like little satellites. And it often is the case, those studios all have their own sort of design identity inside the overall umbrella design identity. Again, I've not worked in Foster's. I can't speak about there specifically. I can speak about Chipperfield, obviously. Like Chipperfield was like that. So if you were running one of the studios at Chipperfield, or if you were running one of the projects, you had like the autonomy to run that studio the way you would run your own office. So it does scale. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. So even what I'm getting at is the big super duper huge practices are also just hundreds of little teams. It's kind of interesting. Do you reckon this kind of decentralized way would work in academia? But academia is like that as well, I think. Like, or I mean, I don't know what university specifically you're at, Isham, but like the master's system is a bit like that. The unit system, like, so for example, there's 100 students, but there's 10 units, and each student's 10 units, and each unit has a different theme or a different topic that they'll explore for that year. And I think that's really good because when you're an undergrad, like I was, it's like, let's say there's 50 people, everyone's going to design the same brief, a house for an artist, 50 students, boring, right? Like, I don't know. So I just do think that even the big practices are broken down into those little molecules, which is cool. Have I missed something here? Where are we? I think I definitely missed a question. FIFA Dabber, any interesting architects that you like that aren't too mainstream? It's hard, isn't it? Because like when you say aren't too mainstream, like big on Instagram or like famous or like Starchitects. Because I do know like there's like 100 practices that I love that are like really great, but then you think they're like 10 people, and then you check them out on Instagram, and they've got like 100,000 followers. So I don't know. It's hard for me to understand like what's big and small and mainstream now. But I can come back to that absolutely. Preet, I actually found you with the hand drawn portfolio reel. I always wanted to ask you, why did you hand draw in your last year? Here in India, no one even so much time to hand draw in their last year. Um, I so in my like so I did the degree, then I went into practice, and then I went back and did the masters. And in like the last year, I was like, I don't know what it was. I'm trying to remember specifically. I had a good relationship with my tutor. Um, but like I was struggling to like unlock the project. And I kept putting up all these renders and drawings and like 3D models, and everything was very arty and conceptual, but like a really good graphic standard. So like I was doing these big cutaway sections and perspectives trying to sort of unlock the thesis. And he was just sort of like, yeah, like whatever, like just keep going. And it was like the fourth week, and then I just didn't produce anything for him. And then it was like the fifth week, and I just didn't produce anything for him. And then it was like the sixth week he came in, and I just did a hand drawing. Like it was like an A1 drawing, and it was like a section and a plan and a perspective inside the same sheet, inside the same drawing, where all of the grid lines intersected. And he was just like, do this all year, throw away all the computer drawings. And I was like, okay, great. And then I was like, brilliant, because like I'm gonna go back into practice in about at the end of this year, and I'm gonna have my whole life to just work in CAD. So then I was like, well, then I'm just gonna go really, really, really hard on the pencil drawings. And that's what I did. So that's why, like, it obviously was a decision to do it, but I was encouraged to do it. So I was like, oh yeah, if I've got permission to do it, I'm gonna go crazy. And that was it. So like, never really had a bad review with him for the rest of the year. But I'm glad you found my stuff through that, because I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm like, should I talk more about my work, or should I just talk about other things? Because people are like, just talk about stuff, and other people are like, show us your work. And I was like, I don't really know. So try and get the balance right. But thanks, Preet. Lazo, Dory Azar, architect is really good. His toilet videos are amazing. Yeah, just amazing. Like I love Dory. Dory's great. We're talking about doing a collaboration. I don't really know what that would be. Maybe I'll design a toilet and you can draw it. Maybe you can critique my toilet drawings. I don't know. There's something there. Disan, I've seen some of his video. I liked his B plan best. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Ishan, architecture professors would love Dory for the concept to realization. Yeah, Dory should teach. Do you reckon this kind of decentralized way? Oh, yeah, sorry, I answered that one. Nisarg A. Patel. Hi, Cal. Do you know about Not a Hotel architecture competition? No, I'm going to do a quick check of it now, but if you want, just fire in a message there and give me a bit of context. I'm happy to talk about it. Not a Hotel architecture competition. In chat, remember, I'm gonna close down the stream in about 10 minutes, so get your questions in. Not a hotel. Okay, I'm just seeing a lot of star architects and a lot of black and white photos. So, Nisar, can you give me some context to that? Because I'm not really sure what I'm looking at here. And I'm going to go back to some other questions, but I'll get back to you. FIFA Dabber, by mainstream, I think more like Frank Lloyd Wright, Le Corbusier, Zaha Hadid, Norman Foster. I have to be careful because I don't want to get into the habit of hyping up architects who are like up and coming and stuff, because I don't want people thinking I'm like trying to, like, what's the word, advertise for them or something. There's some awesome architects out there at the minute. They might not be that new, but I don't think they're that big. I don't know if you're familiar. Anyone? I'll put it in the chat here. Kirsten Gears. I think they're a Belgian practice. I think their practice is called KG. I'm trying to think what the name is. They have an amazing house. That one just comes to mind. They're Belgian. I think they're Belgian architects. They're good. Other ones who come to mind, they're quite big, but they're not on like the same level of like infamy or not infamous. They're on the same level of fame as like Zaha. I'll put a few in here. Ares Mateus, Barazzi Vega. You'll know some of this work. Like these are just practices coming to mind who they're not like super top famous or mainstream like Zaha, but they're probably like the coming level just underneath that in terms of scale of the practice, the size of the projects, they win in competitions. Ishan, drop your uni portfolio. Uni, man, I have no idea where my uni portfolio is. Actually, I say that, but I do have a physical portfolio here in the flat. I keep thinking about the best way to make content out of it because you know what's funny? It's the portfolio that I used in my interview for Chipperfield Architects, and I do sometimes wonder if that would be good content. Like, do you want to see the portfolio that got me this job? Um, do you know what I mean? Like, is that good content or is that boring? Like, oh, here's the drawing, and it's like they're all physical, they're all printed out. I still have them, so that must be from 2019. So yeah, it's a 6-year-old portfolio. It's like A2, and it's like 100 drawings. Yeah, you're all being kind, chat. Thanks. Maybe Lazo. Yeah, I see your message there, Lazo. Maybe. You see, the thing is, right, guys, I'm 34 and I made this video this week. And that actually reminds me of something. So I'm going to get onto the story. Chat, thanks for being here. Thanks for chatting. If you have not subbed to the channel, please hit the sub for me. Please subscribe because I'm really trying to grow this YouTube channel now going forward. So if you're here, I hope you're having a good time. I'm doing everything I can to answer every question I can. Do me a little favor. Just subscribe to the channel. That's it. That's it. And now I'm going to get on to the question. Thanks. The thing with the portfolio, right? Yeah, stream it. Streams though, like this is the thing. Streams are tricky. Like even just me talking here now, it's a little bit like it's intense. Whereas like I might have to actually, you know what? I have presented my thesis project on a stream before with Rebecca on the Future Blueprint, but that's just the project, not the portfolio. Whereas I have the physical portfolio. See, the thing with the portfolio is that because it's physical, right? You got to get the cameras right. You got to get the top-down view. You want it to be good, right? You want it to look good. But here's the other thing, right? And I know that a lot of people who follow me and talk to me, and I know a lot of you guys are architecture students, and that's cool. Like, but I'm 34. Like, at some stage in my life, I need to move past my portfolio. Like, I just stop talking about it. It's just like I know people ask about it, and I know that it makes good content. Do you know what I mean? But like, I don't know. I have it. It's just done. I just don't want to be that guy who's like, hasn't stopped talking about his thesis. Because here's the thing, right? My thesis was like fine. Like I wasn't like the top student in my class. Like I wasn't this award-winning student. Like I didn't even finish half of the drawings. Um, like my grades were good, and I got a job pretty quick. But like that's all I'm saying. So it's like I do like that people are interested and they want to see it and they want to hear me talk about it. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I do feel like I talk about the project a lot, and considering like, it wasn't like that kind of project. Whereas I always think about Rebecca's. Rebecca was nominated for like every award. Like that was a thesis project. Mine's was like crumb sketches. Do you know what I mean? And okay, like I know that I always got jobs with those drawings, so they're obviously better than maybe I realize. But then sometimes I'm like, but Crumley, maybe they're not as good as you also think. It's about the balance, isn't it? But thanks for the positivity. Can't you scan it? Well, the drawings were A1, right? So they were like it was like 40 A1 drawings, and I scanned and photographed all of them back in 2017. And then my tutor, I got a job in London then, so I was working in London, and I just got an email from like my old professor, and he was literally like, he was fair about it. He was like, "Look, I've held on to your drawings for as long as I possibly can. They're going to be thrown into the bin on like Friday. Can you come get them?" And I was like, I live in London. I can't fly back just to get them. And in my opinion, they weren't that good. And I was just like, throw them out, get rid of them, burn them, never want to see them again. But I still have every single photo and scan. So then when I was going to my job interviews, I formatted them in a really particular way, which is kind of interesting because every drawing was 2 pages, and it was like cartridge paper, and then it was like tracing paper printed. It was printed onto tracing paper and overlaid. So you could stack the drawings and then just peel them away. And it was kind of cool. I'm kind of all into talking about it again now. So that's what I did. Sense, my G, welcome, Sense. What's up? Sense, if you're here and you got a question, you got like a couple of minutes to get one in. Guys, that goes for everybody here. Get your last questions in because we're coming up on an hour. Desan, how about you credit like a mini series of what you liked about it? It's just hard because I started making content 12 months ago. So this YouTube channel, like I think this YouTube channel, its birthday is like yesterday. So I posted the first video on here a year ago, and I made my first Instagram reel like just over a year ago. And that first Instagram reel was about the pencil drawings. So if anyone's on here didn't know that, just you might have to scroll back through like a lot of reels, but you can find those drawings on there. I talk about them. And the thing is that to sound about what you're saying is that content just takes a lot of time. And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to rush less of it and make better content. So maybe it's like one video, one final video once and for all, and it's out of there. So maybe I'll think about it. But I think it might be more useful to show it in the context of the interview that I like, the interviews that I used it for. So it's almost like there's a video about the project, but then there's a video about the way in which I used the project to get a job. Because I think it is funny. I obviously share the drawings a lot on Instagram and talk about them. So obviously I know that there's something good about them, but I can't see what that is. And then when I go to interviews, the way people talk to me about them, I'm like, oh wow, they're actually really good. I can't get my head around it. I don't know. So maybe it's up for you guys. Maybe you guys can tell me if they're bad. So what are we looking at here? Lazo, I want to go to Germany for my master's. Do you have any suggestions about that? Where are you based, Lazo? Because I remember you could do Germany as an Erasmus year. There was like an exchange program. Nisarg Patel, not a hotel, is a competition that invites architects and creators under 40 to submit designs for high-end vacation homes. The winning design is also get constructed. Interesting. I might check that one out. Maybe I'll make a video about it because I'm big into competitions these days. If anyone's been following me, I just like talking about them. I think they're interesting. I think they're also mostly bad. And I say that as someone who is running his own architecture competition at the minute with Rebecca at the Future Blueprint. JJ McGuckin, welcome. How are you? Having an urban design portfolio is some crack. No interview questions on the design, but many questions on drainage and signaling arrangements. To be honest, JJ, they're probably the interviews you want to have. Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever I'm in an interview, we're talking about these really stupid, high conceptual, philosophical ideas. And then they're like, congratulations, you've got the job. And on a Monday, they're like, hey, can you fix this like drainage detail? And it's like, oh, I thought you guys hired me because you wanted vibes and atmosphere and pretty sketches. And they're like, no. You're going to work on a building now. And it's like, oh, no. So maybe, JJ, your experience is the right one. Erasmus is too late for me. I'm on my 4th year. But yeah, 4th year is usually the year I think people do Erasmus. Well, I mean, if you're on your 4th year, like, I don't know, you're based in Georgia. Don't know. I mean, it's not too late. You could always work in Germany if that's where you want to go. Sense watched your video on how not to be in architectural jail. Yeah, actually, I'm going to plug that one, people. I put a video out this week and it's not doing well on the metrics or on the analytics. I think there's something wrong with the thumbnail. Might be my big face or it might be the Comic Sans font, but I'm still learning these things. But do me a favor, if you're interested in that, please check that video out after the stream if you want, because I do my best to give a map out about how to become an architect based on my experience, which was completely mad. So yeah, would appreciate some love on that if you have the time. So thanks for that. FIFA Dabber, Trent Allen and I want to do a competition as a team to improve our skills. Any beginner comps you can recommend? It's hard. It really is hard. Well, actually, you know what? Rebecca and I actually have run a competition this year. Obviously, you must not have been able to see that, or you could have entered that because we wanted it to be free and we didn't want people to work too hard on it. So in a way, we wanted that to be a good beginner opportunity for a young architect. And also you would have had the chance to win an iPad. So that's cool. But we're judging those entries at the minute. So we might do another one. But generally, I don't recommend doing it if you have to pay to enter, especially if you're a student. So I don't know. Is that discouraging? If you guys really want to do one, do one. But they're incredibly hard to win, especially if you have to pay money up front to enter it. They're dodgy. Watch out for those. Gilda, there are 2 different approaches to developing a creative path to become really good. Hold on, sorry, I'm just trying to read this. Sorry, I'm going to read that again. There are two different approaches to developing a creative path to become really good, like in the film Whiplash, extreme pressure, intense training, more brutal way, versus David Lynch's approach, which is more about positive way, intuition, following your own creative instincts. What do you think is the best approach to a creative path? That's a 10 out of 10 question, Gilda. So thank you so much. So I'm only going to answer this question through the lens of my own experience. I feel like I sit perfectly in the middle of both. Well done, Crumley. Sit on the fence, not answering the question. But I think for me, because I feel like what I'm trying to do is construct my own creative path. And I've been trying to do this now for 2022. So I think I made a video about my freelance journey that I put on YouTube about a year ago, and I think I'm going to make a follow up to that soon. But in it, I talk about how I just basically operate on instinct. Like I try and just feel my way sort of through my career. And that's how I've ended up on YouTube. I was actually talking to someone, an architect tonight, and he was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's just my instinct. I just want to do it. Like, I just want to talk to other people about architecture. I love making videos and I don't have a plan with it. Like, I'm not trying to launch a product. I'm not trying to sell something. I like to joke that I've got an architecture studio, but come on, like, like I don't technically. I do and I don't. But what I'm getting at is that's what I would say is definitely in that David Lynch sort of realm of what you're describing, positive intuition, following your own creative instincts. However, I find that when I was in school, I thrived on that real professional intensity. I loved it. And I was saying to somebody recently on a podcast, like training to become an architect is what I would imagine is like training to become an athlete. Now, obviously, like I'm not an athletic individual. Okay, I'm not an athlete. I was actually too good at football, so they wouldn't let me play with the other kids. But whatever. The point is, um, you train, you train to get better, and I just used to love that, like crit, getting the feedback, getting teased a little bit. Because see, I make a lot of content about how tough architecture school is, but I actually thrived in that environment. So that's why when I'm making reels about how tough tutors are on students or how bad sort of architects can be to interns and stuff, I'm not really talking about how it made me feel. I'm more talking about how I watched others be treated and seen, and I know that that experience is valid. But I'm trying to answer your question here. Um, so for me, so now that I like sort of technically am my own boss and I do what I want, I do miss that intensity and the pressure. So now I just have to fabricate it and put it on myself unless I've got a client. But even my clients that I've been lucky to get have been really chill. Like they have. But then I have to remember where I worked professionally. And that level of intensity and the level of standard in that practice was so, so high that I couldn't meet it. And for a long time, I used to think, oh, it was because I wasn't good enough. But then it was like, I was 28, 29. I don't think I was the problem. I think it was that those standards were set so that no one could ever meet them. So they're so high that everyone just burns out trying to reach it. Now, maybe that sounds really dramatic and really unfair, and I'm just speculating. But what I'm getting at is in architecture, you're going to find both. And the answer is the balance is the key, I think, to finding your own creative path. You want the intensity. I don't know if we've got any fans of The Office in the chat, but the best character in The Office, it's not Dwight, all right? It's not Jim. It's not Michael. It's Ryan Howard, okay? And I'm going to quote Ryan Howard, one of the best, funniest lines in The Office, okay? I want a boss to inspire me, to motivate me when I feel like I'm in the mood to be inspired and motivated. That's me. That's how I feel. I want the pressure when I want it because I can handle the pressure. I want to be motivated and I want to be inspired when I want to because most of the time I'm fine. So that's sort of how I feel. So sorry, Gil, I've spent a long time on that one, but you really touched a nerve there. So that's a good thing. So I hope that helps. Ishan, suggestion, you could do a screen share stream and we just look and talk about architecture. For what specifically? Like, do you have any specific ideas? You just mean like news or like projects and stuff? Guys, I realize I'm going late here, so we're gonna wrap this one up. We're gonna wrap this up in a minute. So, guys, this is the last chance. Get the question in now. Get the questions in now. I'm gonna read the last few messages here. FIFA Dabber, I love The Office, but yes, that pressure is euphoric. When you overcome the pressure, that's the problem, or when the pressure is endless. And I was talking to someone today about this. They're working on a film. They've got a deadline. Um, and the film is going to be premiered in a theater in like December. Final call, guys, as well. I'm ringing the bell, pub bell. Get your questions in, last chance. The person was working, they're working on a film, right? And the premiere is in December, but the film's not ready yet. And I said, how are you doing? And he said, I'm incredibly burnt out. I'm tired. Everyone's really exhausted. And I said, but the deadline's not changing, right? And he's like, no. And I said, well, then that's as good as it gets. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, I've worked in practices and I've worked in buildings where you're grinding for weeks and weeks and weeks on a deadline. And then the deadline's coming and you think you're about to submit. And then the client's like, oh, we'll give you like another month. So the deadline gets pushed again. And then you're like, right, okay. Oh, okay, I'm gonna go another month, pressure, another 4 weeks. And then it's like, oh, we're just gonna push the deadline again. The deadline just keeps moving. And that's like, someone said to me in architecture school, right? There's two kinds of pressure, or there's two kinds of stress. There's the stress that you're in control of, and then there's the stress that you're not. The stress that you're in control of is a good stress. That's a privilege. That's a luxury. The stress that you're not in control of, that is absolute hell. No one needs that. So I think, coming back to your original point, the pressure is euphoric. It's not the pressure, it's overcoming the pressure. Architecture school has an end. That's why I was always able to grind. Oh, well, the end's coming up. It'll be fine. I can do this for 4 weeks. I'll not sleep for a week. It'll be okay. It'll be over soon. In professional practice, it never ends. So you got to be careful. That's all I'm saying, guys. Be careful. Who we got here? Nabi, if you like The Office, watch Utopia. It's an Australian TV show about an urban planning department. I will check that out. Thank you, Nabi. Nabi, 10 out of 10 tonight. Welcome to the stream, dropping in all the good recommendations here. Lazo, when will you stream next? Lazo, I'm trying to do this every single Thursday now, guys. I'm going to try and make this a weekly thing every single Thursday. So if you've been enjoying it, thank you so much. Please keep coming back. I love doing them. Ashan, no, just this stream, but imagine instead of you sending references and text, but you show it in crypto. Yeah, I am going to look into a screen share because I think that could be way useful, because I don't mean to just drop them in here, but screen share might be coming next. Yuri, welcome. Just dialed in, not a question, just appreciation for your colossal work on Helsinki review. Really enjoyed that one. You're welcome. That reminds me, I am going to do a review of the final 5, and I'm also going to do a post-mortem. So there are 2 more videos coming on Helsinki. I know I've missed all the SEO. I know I've missed all the hype. I know I've missed all the trends. Don't care. Don't care at this point. I need to finish it. I need to finish Helsinki, so I'm going to do that. Michael Flynn +1 Utopia. Guys, that is it. That is another episode. The last thing I'm going to say here, if you've just joined or you've been listening and you haven't subbed to the channel, please give me a sub. And if you're really interested in architecture hell and how to get out of it and how I became an architect and how you can become an architect, there's a new video on the channel this week. So that is the plan moving forward. I'm going to post a weekly video on Tuesdays. I'm going to do a live stream on Thursdays, okay? Thanks again for joining, everyone. You've absolutely been 10 out of 10. I love doing this. I'm going to be back next Thursday. All the best. Good luck in the studio. Good luck in the office. Good luck with architecture. Talk soon. Have a good night, everyone. See ya. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.